What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Gear Breaker Nation, where we give excellent assessment and reviews. And in this video, we're going to be reviewing Supergirl Season 1, Episode 6, Red Face. Now, the episode picks up where Supergirl is flying and as soon as she's enjoying herself. And I think it's a pretty good thing, again, because it just shows her like the downtime where she can just kind of go and just relax and just think to herself. And she ends up coming across this incident where these two guys are filled with road rage and they're just going at it all through the road. And they're about to run over this group of kids. Supergirl just lands right in front of them and stops both cars. Now this does injure both guys. One guy I think gets knocked out. The other one gets super pissed. Is sitting here cussing at Supergirl, just talking trash to her. Then even tries to hit her at one point, which she sits there and blocks and twist the dude's arm, and I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That douchebag deserved that. So she then realizes that, you know, the kids and stuff are recording her, and it's like, wow, the kids are sitting here recording her, and she just saved their life. And of course, this blows up all over the news. Supergirl's being trashed on again. And because of the propaganda, they're sitting here making her look like the bad guy, even though these two dudes nearly killed a whole bunch of kids. So there's that, and Hank is like, hey, you gotta learn how to control your temper because they're gonna sit here and trash you and everything because they're gonna be scared of you. And then of course, Maxwell Lord decides he wanna put his little 2 cents in and sits there and trashes Supergirl's name once again. And I'm like, I really do not like his character, because he's sitting here constantly just trashing this chick, despite the fact that she's doing so much good. Okay, Lucy and Jimmy are talking, and Lucy ends up inviting Jimmy to eat dinner with her father. Of course, there's a lot of tension between Jimmy and Lucy's father due to career choices and everything, and acquaintances, Superman. And there's a bit of tension on that. Jimmy does end up inviting her to game night that, you know, Kara, Jimmy, and Wynn do every week. And you can kind of tell there's a bit of uncomfortable feeling right there for Kara, because she likes Jimmy, she's gonna go ahead and go with this. Kat's doing her thing, but then her mom ends up showing up at the job, and you can tell there's a whole bunch of tension right there, because Kat's mom generally feels like one of those moms that thinks her life is everything and pretty much neglects that of her kids and everybody else, kind of looks down on it. You can kind of see where Kat gets all of that, her attitude from, because her mom generally sets it off for her. So it's like she's getting it from her mom that she's projecting it to the world. Kara does pick up on this, and it makes me once again kind of feel sorry for Kat and maybe sympathize for Kat a lot. Next, you got Alex shows up at the job, and her and Kara ask Wynn to help them hack into the DEO mainframe because they still trying to unravel this mystery behind the disappearance of their father. And I thought that was pretty cool because he was a bit hesitant, but because she hit the father angle, that Wynn ends up saying yes. So mostly because he likes Kara. Okay, Supergirl, Alex, and Hank end up meeting with Lucy and her father, who's this general, and they want to test out this android called Red Tornado. Okay, the design of Red Tornado does feel a bit bulky, and it could have been touched on a bit, but for the most part, I really enjoyed the character design. I enjoyed the reasoning behind the character design, even though I wish that the plot could have been, even though I wish that the backstory could have been done a bit better as to like the design and the reason. Because me personally, I figured out it was like, okay, the general created Red Tornado to be able to fight superpowered beings, but it's like, how did he come up with the idea for like wind manipulation? So Supergirl ends up stepping up to the challenge, saying she should test out the robot, but she doesn't do it that day. It's gonna be another day. Okay, then we got game night where Jimmy, Lucy, Wynn, and Kara are sitting here playing charades or 21 questions or something like that. And of course you can see Jimmy and Lucy are just hitting everything on point. They know each other, they know each other's choices, and of course this makes Kara and Wynn feel uncomfortable because when it's their turn, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. There was a question where it was like made reference to Superman, like, this guy's my best friend, or I know his secret identity, saying that like I know the identity of Superman, Supergirl, something like that. And it kind of made this weird awkward moment because it's like Jimmy, Wynn, and Kara know the answer to that question, but Lucy doesn't. So it's like, okay. That brings up the conversation on what Lucy Lane thought about Supergirl when she first met her. And it's kind of cool because when you Supergirl, when this character of Supergirl actually meets Lucy, who's in the military, was like really tough. She was really harsh. She was really cold. She was very blunt. And when she gives her impressions on that, of course, it makes everybody feel uncomfortable because it makes it seem like that she's kind of she was basically throwing shade and throwing Supergirl under the bus. So the next day, of course, Supergirl ends up fighting Red Tornado, and this girl completely loses it. That android had no chance at all. The fight was pretty cool. It was actually pretty interesting. It was done really well, especially with the whole wind thing, which kind of worried me, but it was actually a decent fight. Nothing really memorable or anything, but she completely wails on this thing to the point that it actually like ran away. I mean, she super breathed his arm and broke his arm off and beat the crap out of him, and she didn't pull no punches. And I did like that because it was her venting her frustration and everything. But the android ends up like escaping, and then of course the general sits here and pins it all on Supergirl, despite the fact that he was the douchebag that pushed for the fight in the first place. And I was like, wow, this dude is just such a douche. I don't like him. He sucks. Honestly, seems like one of those types of guys been in the military for like 30 years, and he believes that America is the greatest country in the world and that everybody else sucks and that America should rule. So of course, after the robot escapes, the Army and the DEO have to, band together to try to find this robot, which ironically enough, one thing I didn't think about the thing was, okay, the thing was combat ready, but if there was still like a prototype and they were still testing it out, why in the world was it able to cloak? Okay, Kara sitting here pissed off, frustrated at the world, and then Kat, when she gets back to the job, Kat ends up kind of going off on her, but then Kara goes back off on Kat, and I'm thinking, yeah, Kara, you just lost your job. But Kat ends up once again coming up with one of these really good feminist speeches, like that montage between these two characters who actually was sitting at the bar, and Kat was sitting here opening up to Kara, Kara was sitting here opening up to Kat, and it was pretty cool. So I think that's great. But she didn't fire Kara, she actually like left with her. So I was like, okay. So she's like, okay, yeah, I respect you a little bit more. You got a little bit more backbone. Alex goes to Maxwell Lord because guys, I'm omnipotent, I guess, because she brings the android's arm that actually Supergirl ended up breaking off. And this dude, there is no freaking way he knew this. I did not buy this for a second. This dude seen the arm, knew exactly how she destroyed the arm, what it was made of, and all of this stuff. I was like, there is no way in the world this dude knew all of that. He didn't see it. He was like, well, this material is this hard. The only way you can break this material is if you freeze it. And I'm assuming that she froze it with a freezing breath. And I'm like, dude, there is no way in the world you could have known about that. That was too well detailed. I did not like that. The next scene, you sit here, you got Jimmy, Lucy, and her father, or having dinner. Of course, everything feels awkward. Lucy goes to the bathroom. Her father turns into the douchebag, starts going off on Jimmy. But Jimmy sat here and kind of stood his ground. But then the father once again said some foul stuff and threw Jimmy in the bus, talking about he ain't good enough for his daughter. And I was like, dude, you're not good enough to be a father. You're a douchebag, man. There was a douchebag in the show. This guy was the douchebag. And I was like, oh, I don't like this guy. He makes me just hate him every word that he says. But then you got Lucy comes back, and again there's the awkwardness, and they end up leaving and everything, kind of keeping Lucy in the dark. But what happens? Red Tornado shows up. Next thing you know, he shot Lucy with this like gust of air, and I was like, wow, that girl there's no way. I was like, she died. Cause when he shot her, she like flew across the ground and hit like a table, and I was like, damn, that looked like it hurt. But of course, Jimmy goes to try to see about HUD, and Red Tornado is gunning for the general. Supergirl shows up. There's a brief little fight. Then next thing you know, Red Tornado shoots off this big tornado in the city, and then so Supergirl's got to go dispel it by flying into it and going the opposite way. But then Red Tornado escapes, and what happens? The general sits there and blames Supergirl, and I was like, damn, I wish that robot would have just killed him. He's just such a douchebag. Maxwell ends up informing Alex that Red Tornado isn't like MIA or AWOL or anything. He's being controlled. So, and they make plans on how to deal with this. I'm like, okay, kind of came through and everything, even though he did an omnipotent thing, but like knew everything ahead of time. I didn't like that. And then you got then you got Kara and Jimmy, and they find a way to vent their frustrations because Jimmy is frustrated at having to deal with Lucy's father because his father's a douchebag, and then you got Kara who's just mad, and this was a really well thought out part because Kara's Kryptonian, so she has super strength and everything. So Jimmy is sitting here punching this like strung up punching bag, and then Kara's sitting here punching this strung up car. And I was like, okay, that right there was pretty cool. And then you sit here and you learn what her frustrations about, what angers her, because you dig into her mind and you find out the reason why she's so angry because she's mad at her parents because they sent her off, but they didn't save themselves. So she feels guilty about that. She feels guilty about not being able to actually be normal. And things like that. So you kind of feel where she's coming from. And I like it because it was a really good moment for her character. And also a moment I didn't really mind with Jimmy. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, the DEO have come up with a plan on how to find and stop Red Tornado. They end up using the general as bait, but not really. It was like a hologram. But Red Tornado didn't know that, not until you tried to kill him. So Alex ends up tracing the signal that's controlling Red Tornado and finds Dr. Morrow. Now, Dr. Morrow was the guy who created Red Tornado, but after it went AWOL, the general ended up firing him. So the reason why that Red Tornado was gunning for the general because he fired Dr. Morrow, and Dr. Morrow was controlling him. So Dr. Morrow and Alex end up getting to this scuffle, and then you got Kara actually fighting Red Tornado. That was a pretty good fight on both ends. I really enjoyed it. But I have to say the most memorable part of this episode that was so emotionally driven, so well done. Just the musical score was just beautiful. And that's the part when during the climax of the fight, Supergirl ends up using her laser beams on Red Tornado, and when she's doing it, she's pushing everything into it. All her anger, all of her sadness, all her frustration, the memories of her parents, and her just being jettisoned in space, and it was so emotionally powerful. That's one thing I loved about this episode, was that one scene set it up. And it was just beautiful. The musical score, it was just so emotional. I was like, and she was screaming while she was doing it. I was like, that was badass. I loved it. I loved that one scene. I was like, gosh, that was so good. I really felt for her character. I know I get on her sometimes because of some of the things she do. She's such a good person. But this made me just connect with her. I was like, I'm right here with you. I'm right here with you. Now, of course, Dr. Morrow ends up getting killed in the confrontation with Alex. And then you got Red Tornado being completely obliterated by Kara. Now, the one thing I didn't like about this was, again, like Livewire, this character, I felt she should have been... I love the way that it was done, and I thought it was done really well, especially considering the plot and everything. But I would have liked Red Tornado actually to survive, because that's a character, once again, that could be brought later on in the series. It's been used to help fight somebody, or, you know what I'm saying? I would have liked to see him being brought back later on in the series. And another thing, the guy that was controlling Red Tornado, he was using this mind thing, this headgear thing to control him. Now, the one thing I didn't like about that was the fact that when he died, I was thinking when he died, his mind was going to transfer over into Red Tornado, and Red Tornado goes to be self-aware. but it didn't. He died, Red Tornado died. In the story, I was like, damn, that was a missed opportunity. It's like 2 missed opportunities, but that's just me. Okay, having been saved by Supergirl and the General once again being a douchebag, doesn't want to own up to his mistakes, ends up trying to get Lucy to leave with him. Lucy ends up telling the General that, hey, I'm going to be here with Jimmy. I'm resigning from the army, and I'm thinking he's going to say something inspirational, emotional, fatherly, and he basically just said, this is like the worst decision, and it's going to come back to bite you in the butt, and I hope that you don't regret it, or hope something like that to that effect. I was like, I really don't like that guy. Okay, after that, Wynn ends up telling Alex and Kara Hank and their father went to the Amazon or Brazil or something like that, and they disappeared for months, and then the only person to show back up was Hank. So Hank was the last person to see their father alive. Then next scene, you got Kara sitting here reporting to Kat's office. Kat's mother ends up going the hell off on Kara, and I like it because when she went off, Kat stepped up, defended Kara, and again, there was a moment between these two characters. She shut her mom down, and I was like, okay, she really respects Kara as a person. Kara ended up breaking his glass, and when she tried to go pick up and clean up the glass, she ends up cutting herself, and that's the end of the episode. So I was like, okay, in the end, this was actually a pretty good episode. I like the fact that Red Tornado showed up. I like the reasoning for him. The design, they could have done a little bit better. He wasn't, Vision from Age of Ultron, but it was actually pretty good. I wish there was a little episode that focused a little bit more on that, but it did, and I wish he would have survived because, like I said, that was 2 opportunities that they could have utilized the character Red Tornado for, but it's neither here nor there. So I have to say, I say this episode definitely gets like a 3 out of 5. I enjoyed it. Really good episode. So guys, in the comment section below, let me know what you thought about Supergirl Season 1, Episode 6, Red Face. Did you like the Red Tornado incarnation? Did you love that emotionally powerful moment during their final confrontation? Guys, let me know your thoughts. Remember, share, like, subscribe. And more videos will be up, even if you don't do that, videos will still be up, but I prefer if you would do that, then even more videos will be up. But then again, even if you don't, more videos still be up. So anyways, guys, to the next edition of Gear Breaker Nation, keep those gears turning.